Rome wasn't built in a day, but when it fell, it only took a few. You may have heard about the fall of Rome, or even the decline and fall of Rome, but have you ever heard about the rise and fall of Rome? It's actually a great story and one that we are going to tell you right now. This is the fall of Rome in 100 seconds. The Roman Empire was at its peak during the 2nd century CE under the rule of Emperor Hadrian. The empire stretched from Britain to Egypt, from Spain to Iraq. But as the 3rd century began, things started to go wrong. There were economic problems, food shortages, political instability, and a series of bad emperors. The empire was also being threatened from the outside. In 235, the Germanic tribes invaded and sacked Rome for the first time. This led to the crisis of the 3rd century, a 50-year period of turmoil that saw the empire almost collapse. But Rome did get through it, and things did start to look up again. In 284, the Emperor Diocletian came to power, and he divided the empire into 2 halves, the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. He also established a new capital in the east, the city of Byzantium, which would later become Constantinople. For a while, this seemed like a good idea. The 2 empires were closer together and could more easily defend themselves against outside invaders. But it also meant that there were now 2 separate centers of power, which caused all kinds of problems. In 395, the Emperor Theodosius I died, and his 2 sons, Honorius and Arcadius, inherited the Western and Eastern empires respectively, and so in 395, the Western Roman Empire, the half that included Italy, Gaul, and Spain, had 185 coins minted with the image of Honorius on them. The following year, 396, the Western Roman Empire issued no coins at all. By 400, Rome was in chaos. In 410, the Visigoths sacked Rome. This was a terrible blow to the prestige of the empire. The Goths had been invited in by the emperor to help him fight other invaders, but he had then gone back on his word and refused to pay them. So they sacked Rome instead. This was the first time in history that a Gothic tribe had sacked a Roman city. By 450, the Western Roman Empire was on its last legs. In 476, the Germanic general Odoacer deposed Romulus Augustulus, the last emperor of the Western Roman Empire, and the 750-year-long era of Roman domination in the West was brought to an end. Only the Eastern Roman Empire, the half that included the cities of Rome and Constantinople, would go on to survive for another 1,000 years. So, do you want to know more about the fall of Rome? Or maybe you'd rather hear about the rise of Rome? Well, you're in luck because we've done videos on both. We've got a lot more where that came from. If you want to see more, just follow us here. You might think that the fall of Rome happened suddenly, but really it was centuries in the making. As Rome grew, it became harder to defend its borders. And with the empire so vast, it was difficult for the central government to keep control. Another factor was the decline of Roman values. As the empire grew wealthier, its citizens became more interested in luxury goods and less interested in public service. This led to a decline in the quality of government and a weakening of the military. Finally, there was the problem of barbarian invasions. Over the course of its history, Rome had fought many wars against the Germanic tribes known as barbarians. But in the 3rd and 4th centuries, these tribes began to push into Roman territory in greater numbers. They were able to take advantage of the weaknesses of the empire, and eventually they overthrew Rome's rule in the West. So, what can we learn from the fall of Rome? It's a warning about the dangers of empire. It shows us that even the greatest empires can fall if they become too big or too weak. But it also tells us something about ourselves, about our capacity for greatness, but also our capacity for destruction. Rome is a reminder that no matter how high we climb, we must always be careful not to fall too far. Thanks for watching.